Hello world, I'm Chris Pirillo, and you've tuned in to another live edition of Pirillo Picks. It's a daily show and tell. It's usually a geek haul because I collect things, and I've been collecting things for quite some time. In my past, I've collected pens, but a certain kind of pen. I've collected plastic cups, but a certain kind of plastic cup. I collected stamps. One collection that continues to this day is Garbage Pail Kids. And another collection that I'm kind of restarting, that I've talked about in recent weeks, is rebuilding my vintage Star Wars figure collection, my loose vintage Star Wars figure collection, trying to go for those that are in C9 or C10 condition. Great condition, mint, if not, near mint, one of the two. I'm driving towards that, and I'm close. I'm getting closer. I'm inching closer. So I went to a comic shop that I know sells vintage Star Wars figures loose, and I had a chance to take a look. No repro weapons, all original accessories, and I was wearing one of my Garbage Pail Kid shirts. Now, this is one of the collections that I had as a kid. This is pretty much the entire vintage line of Garbage Pail Kids, and I believe for my 16th birthday, I wanted not a car. I swear it was my 16th birthday. Because I'm sure I was made fun of because of this. I didn't want a car for my 16th birthday. Or was it the 14th? Well, I didn't want a car then either. Didn't care about the driver's permit. I wanted the first series of Garbage Pail Kids. And I got them in mint condition. And I still have them to this day. If at any point you want to see me do a series of videos wherein I talk about a particular Garbage Pail Kids vintage series, I'd be happy to do that. Maybe shoot from overhead and do some close-up shots and show you what I loved about the series. Have them all. I have them all. The vintage and even the modern, although it's been kind of difficult to keep up with every one of the modern Garbage Pail Kids, especially with bonuses and chases. So, why am I talking about this? Where's this going? One, I love talking about it. Two, because I learned that the proprietor for the shop, was a fellow fan, and he was into building old series, and he showed me his second series collection, and he lit up, and when we were talking about it, and it was kind of neat because I'd never bonded with, believe it or not, having gone up there before, never bonded with him in that way. And I decided, I was like, well, okay, well, I got to remember when I get home at some point. This happened today, this afternoon, before the live broadcast, because if you're not aware, I'm streaming this particular discussion live. I'm doing it with my patrons, and if you want to be a patron, head over to chrispirillo.com. I just talked about 3 things that I expect to see happen in iOS 10. So back on track. I remembered seeing that I had some duplicates of some vintage Star Wars, duplicates of some Garbage Pail Kids, and I knew where to look for them. And as I went into one box, I found that I had even more. And then I started digging deeper. I'm like, wow, I'm finding things that I forgot I had. And so then I went into a couple of other storage boxes and found some other things. And I'm going to show you, not Garbage Pail Kids, necessarily. I did find those dupes. The 3 surprises that I found from when I was substantially younger at some point. I couldn't tell you when, how, or necessarily why. Well, I can tell you why. I was always a Star Wars fan. This is the first thing. Coloring book. A vintage coloring book with some of my favorite aliens and monsters. Max Rebo, Droopy McCool, Salacious Crumb, and then there's Lando Calrissian. Cy Snoodles was not pictured here. But this is a classic coloring book, and yes, I colored every page. I even wrote the end. There's some vintage Chris Pirillo for you. Yub nub. Okay, I am tripping down memory lane here. I am in love with this. I loved coloring every single page in this book. I didn't necessarily have a coloring style, but, I was trying to be accurate, right? Admiral Akbar and the Mon Calamari. There's General Madine and Mon Mothma. Oh, I even, instead of going with the AT-AT drivers, I remember seeing, pilots that were dressed up in, camouflage, but they had the same type of uniform. TIE Interceptor, okay, I got a little, colorful there with the sail barge. Boba Fett, Luke, Tatooine, Nikto, I had problems with Princess Leia's lipstick there, if you couldn't tell. The Rancor. I'm still looking for a vintage Rancor. I'm not sure what character the Rancor was grabbing there, but Jaquil and Yak Face. I do have a Yak Face vintage and a Jaquil modern. They never made him vintage. There's a couple of other characters. Hermie Odal, I believe. Darth Vader. C-3PO. So, anyway. That's it. That is one of my treasures that I'm now bringing into my play shop. I had it in storage, and I'm bringing it here. It's so cool. I just... see, people are like, why are you all of a sudden talking about Star Wars? You were never this way. Really? You know, I was in grade school. When I had that. When I first started coloring in that book. Grade school. Now, the second treasure, I'm going to save the best for last, though. Trust me on this. Trust me. I almost want to cry with the third treasure, but I'm not going to show you the third treasure yet. I'm going to save the best for last. The second treasure I found as I was going through things was this. A not quite fully mint. There's a kind of, not exactly a tear. It's like a little scuff there, but I would say near mint sealed Slave One. This is when Lego Group was first starting to produce official Star Wars sets, and this is set number 7144. It would probably fetch maybe $100 or $200. I don't know if it would necessarily be much more than that. I haven't necessarily done any competitive pricing. I'm not in the market to sell it. At least at this stage. Like, if someone came and offered me, like, the Star Wars figures that I was looking for, because they wanted it that badly, I'd be like, let's talk, because it means something to me. But I'm willing to give up this to get something that I might be looking for. Apparently, I bought it. And never opened it. And had it in storage, like, mashed down by a couple of other things. But the box is in prime condition. Prime. Let's see here. The year would have been. This is not. I mean, it's considered. I guess I would consider it vintage in the sense that it was produced in a part of the first time that they actually started doing official Lego sets. I'm looking for a year to see if I can find one, and I'm not seeing anything. Not seeing a year, but it had to have been late 90s, early 2000s. Late 90s, I'm guessing. Mid 90s, possibly. So I found this. I'm going to bring it inside the house. It's going to officially sit in my collection. So that's the second thing I found. Now, I mentioned I saved the best for last. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I am currently rebuilding my loose vintage collection of Star Wars figures. I had the complete collection minus Blue Snaggletooth and Yak Face when I was a kid, but most of the figures that I had were really in horrible condition because I couldn't find them in stores, so I had to trade for them. And I didn't have budget. I barely had allowance, right? So it was always a dream. It was always a goal of mine to complete the collection, and I did. But over time, that collection apparently just kind of fell apart. And when I went looking for it, it was a few months ago, I felt sad because I didn't have the complete collection. And then just the other day, I started thinking, I don't know if I ever really had the complete collection. I'm not talking about variants. I'm talking about not just the figures, but their accessories. And in many cases, I didn't have the original accessories. I didn't have all of them. So, now that I've said that, I'm now currently pursuing completing my loose vintage collection. Certainly looking for those who are either selling those in condition C9 or above. So last night I'm interacting with a guy he just got a recent haul. He was turning around and reselling, and we were going back and forth. And I was saying, yeah, I'd like that one, this one, that one, this one. And I'm going to get a few, and I could always sell those if I find ones that are better and just kind of build up my collection from there. It's a great way to grow. One of those figures was another one that I needed that I actually have two of, but one I didn't really like the condition of, and the other one was really, really loose. I forgot. Chewbacca. I forgot at some stage, this is the only vintage Star Wars figure that I must have acquired in the later years that I just didn't open. I don't know why. Maybe I thought I already had a Chewbacca. Why would I want to open a new one? This is Return of the Jedi Chewbacca. This is when they only had 77 listed on the back, minus Max Rebo. See, these are all figures to me, like Max Rebo, Sice Noodles, Droopy McCool, and then the Rancor. So, I almost bought a Chewbacca last night. What stopped me from buying that Chewbacca last night wasn't the price. That doesn't... I'm not assuaged by the price. It was the nose. It just had a scrape on the nose when the guy was selling. So, I'm glad I didn't, because I have a vintage Chewbacca on card. And his nose looks good. I mean, the paint app looks solid. I can't tell if the limbs are discolored at this stage, or terribly. The plastic is yellowed. It's something that just happens to this plastic. But I'm guessing, and my game plan at this stage is to open this Chewbacca. This is going to be in my... I don't know when I'm going to open this loose Chewbacca. It's probably going to be one of the last ones that I open, just to complete the collection. But now I can cross Chewie off my list, because I got it. Now the only thing I am curious about is the limbs being discolored, but it doesn't seem like they would be discolored from the discoloration I've seen on other Chewbaccas. It seems pretty uniform through the yellow. Maybe his arms are going to be a little lighter, but that happens with time. So I was like, wow, I totally forgot I had that. Oh, man. Everybody had this Chewbacca. It was a common enough figure. Yeah. So when should I open this? When should I do it now? Should I do it live? I never opened a Chewbacca. I traded for my Chewbacca. I'm going to give patrons the choice. I'm giving them a second or two. Should I open this Chewbacca now? I'm doing it live. So this is the thing. You get, a little behind-the-scenes control over what happens. In fact, TLDR is very much defined by what people ask me on any given day. Wait until my birthday? Not now, it's a huge thing. Make it an event. Isn't this an event? I'm curious. I really want to know if he's discolored. Okay, fine. It'll be an event. The Chewbacca unboxing, the Chewbacca removal of the card on the card. I'm not. I think I'm over halfway through the vintage line, but I'm already seeing ones that I want to trade up for before I feel that it will be complete. I'm not going to be chasing too many variants, but I think Chewbacca is set. Anyway, that's my it's my geek haul from today. Things I already had, but completely forgot that I had. I wish I would have purchased more, I tell you. Oh, maybe one day I'll figure out how to get a vintage carded collection assembled, but right now I definitely do not have the allowance for that. I'll be fine with loose. Now, if you have any loose Star Wars figures that you want to get rid of, I'm talking about vintage, not modern necessarily, although I do take modern figures. I'm looking for vintage stuff. Let me know. Seriously, I'm a good buyer, and I'm interested. Oh, Chewboxing, yeah. Oh man, Wanted, the full vintage line. This is not the full vintage line. Okay, thank you for tuning in. I am going to move on to answer questions from my patrons now, and to generally be interactive. Also talking about today's news updates, as I've seen them come across the board, including some huge news, specifically in relation to video, and I'm probably going to spend a fair amount of time on that. It's just a little bit of knowledge that I'm laying down, not just information. You want information, you can look for it. You want knowledge, you can come to it, and you can subscribe. To do that, head over to chrispirillo.com. Today's free podcast highlight was brought to you by all of my active patrons from ChrisPirillo.com. If you want access to the full TLDR episodes, both audio, video, past, present, and future, which can be up to an hour long or longer, with even more tech insight from me every weekday, plus other bonus content without ads, and support me at the same time, you can sign up to become one of my supernomies too. This is just a brief taste of what I'm producing for you daily. Again, get more through ChrisPirillo.com.